I'm Pastor Allen. Pastor Chad is with me today, and we're going to be spending some time in the Word this morning. Why don't you grab a cup of coffee, join in with us, and we want to look at the Bible, and we want to find some rest in the midst of chaos. Our church life has been really affected by what's going on here and not being able to meet. So we've been working hard at getting our online presence updated, our website updated and working well, and ways that we can bring people together in virtual ways. So I'm really excited about being able to share some time with you and some time with our friends in the Bible this morning.
So life is crazy lately. It's chaotic. I don't know about you, but you're looking around and I don't understand. I have lots of questions as to why this world reacts to things like this, where things shut down and they started to become illogical, right? I mean, toilet paper. Why toilet paper? Why is that the thing that people all wanted to go and grab?
I got mine.
Illogical, like why? I question, why does this kind of stuff, when the world, the normal everyday life shuts down, why does it scare us so much? Why does this cause us to be so anxious and make irrational decisions like that?
Well, right at the beginning of the Bible, as it sets out to talk about creation and humanity and God moves and he begins to speak and to act, and we find this movement of God right here in the beginning, where he's leading us to an ordered environment, where he starts off with a chaotic situation and he begins to speak order into it.
All right, can I read it for us?
Sure. Well, and then he moves it from this chaos to order to rest.
Okay. All right. So let me read it. Genesis 1 through 3. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And he says, God, it's written here that it says, "And God said," 6 different times like this. And so there is this order to it. And God said, and then he creates something. And God said, and he creates something. So it looks like that we were created within a very ordered system, and humans were created to live within order. Okay, so yeah.
So as the Bible continues moving, we find that there is a movement against God's order. That there is a movement that as God is going chaos to order to rest, that humanity moves into rebellion against God, and now we move from rest in God to disorder and back into chaos itself.
So I know about my world, my life, even without this stuff going on. And I guess on a regular basis, with the full family with 5 kids and living in a somewhat small house for us, and, it feels like we have a lot of chaos. And I know in people's lives, it's in our everyday life, we feel like, man, I'm just getting by and I'm just scraping by. That the world around us is in chaos, even without this stuff. So were we actually even living in a
ordered life before all this happened? Yeah. Well, obviously this virus has created chaos. People were cooped up in our houses. Some people are losing their jobs. Other people's employment's being cut down. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. But what we do discover in the midst of these big radical changes is we discover where we really had our lives centered. That if our lives had been centered on the presence of God and living in the presence of God, this chaos wouldn't necessarily be affecting us mentally, emotionally in the same way.
So you're saying that like the events that we just experienced actually are just like revealing the fact that we already were in chaos and didn't really have the correct order that we were supposed to have, or something like that?
Right. So when all else ceases, and now the order has been removed, and we're no longer revolving around work, and we're no longer revolving around school, and now this structure is removed, we find out where our hearts really truly are centered. And if we've been centered around those kinds of things, or enjoyment, self-enjoyment, sports, it's all gone. That scenario, it leads us to a place of emptiness and a place of fear. But if we're ordered around the way God created us to be ordered, to live with Him in community with Him and with others, we find peace even in the midst of this chaos. So Genesis 2, after the chaos to order to rest, we find the beginning of Genesis 2 is where we find rest. It says this, it says, thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. And the seventh day God had finished the work He had been doing. So on the seventh day He rested from all His work. And God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it He rested from all the work of creating that He had done. So this whole ordering process, this whole structuring of days, all leads up to the seventh day. The first 6 days were all wrapped up in, there was evening and there was morning, and evening and morning. But the seventh day, there is no description of evening and morning, because the seventh day is the point of the whole thing. The point is to enter into the presence of God, to live in community with Him.
So, how do we do that? So like in our lives, practically, what are some steps that we can take? We know that God wants us to live in this order that He intends for our lives. And it's not just the world's way of doing things, but this is something different. And so how do we practically find this Sabbath rest that God wants us to find in our world? So I want you guys, let's all of us like discuss this idea. How are you guys able to find this Sabbath rest in your world? I know for me it's tough with the kids in my household. These guys have a full house too. It's tough to find when you think about, everything's shutting down, but our kids are in our house 24/7, and there is no place for us to go, and things are crazy in there, and they want to get out, and we want them to get out too. So what do we do? It could be that, hey, guys, go play. I'm going to have some quiet time right now. You guys go outside and give me some space for a little bit. I need to spend some time with the Lord. But what are some of the ideas that you guys have that are helping you guys find peace, find this Sabbath rest? Not just, I'm going to sit down and watch TV, but how are you connecting with God in the midst of this whole thing? So,
yeah, let me leave us with a word of encouragement from the Scriptures. In Psalm chapter 91, it says this. It says, the one who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge, my fortress, my God in whom I trust. So let's make the Lord the place where we center our lives and we find rest in the midst of these difficult days.
Can I send you out with this too? Make sure you like and comment on this thing, and let's start some discussions. We've got a lot of stuff that we're trying to do, making all this stuff digital, trying to create digital church for us as much as we can. So be looking out for some new website stuff that's happening and some new ways to connect over Facebook and other groups that we're trying to launch as well. So we invite you guys to comment on this and share it with your friends and start a conversation about how to find rest in this.